Welcome back, guys, to another video. My name is Nikki Fox. If you guys don't know who I am, I love to create 3D things for VR chat, things for Blender, just anything in general. And today what we're going to be going over is simple, easy, straightforward for brand new beginners. I know what it was like to begin and have little understanding to nothing. And so I'm going to try to make this as simple and as quick as possible, so that way it gives you guys a fundamental idea, understanding, and you guys get your own world to create your own VR chat world, which is going to be pretty nice. And we'll have a lot more videos coming out here in the future. We'll go step by step through all sorts of things, from either door opening to seating to anything pretty much that we'll cover at some point in the future here. But right now, today, we're going to start with the very, very basics. There are going to be two things that you're going to need today. So one, you're going to need to have two softwares downloaded. There's going to be Blender and of course, Unity. Now, I know a lot of you guys might be dreading Blender, but trust me, this will be super easy. And if you don't want to learn Blender and you want it to be completely in Unity, you don't want to build something in Blender, we will have a video coming out in the future where we'll make a world entirely in Unity. The one reason why I say that Blender is better, though, for world making is because you can make a lot more details in Blender, and in Unity it's pretty much just squares, but there are some add-ons we can do, but that will be in another video. Stick around for that. But today, where you'll be going, all these links will be down in the description below. There will be Blender, which at the current moment, it's Blender 3.1 is the newest version that they have out. When you'll hit down here, click install. I don't really need to install this though, because I have already installed it. And then Unity, make sure you get this and listen closely. You need the 2019.4.31 version of Unity as of 2022. So be sure you have this version here. I don't believe they're updating anytime soon. What you'll do, there will be this link in the bio or in the below. There will be what's new in 2.9. You will come here. You'll install the Unity editor 64-bit. You'll install that. And secondly, I would heavily suggest downloading the Android Target support as well. The reason why you want to ensure to download the Android Target support is for the sake of Quest compatibility. And installing Android Target support after you've already installed the Unity editor, it's a massive pain to do. So I would suggest just downloading both of these files at the same time, and it will be a lot less headache for you to get set up. You really don't have to do anything. You'll just pretty much, it'll be installed. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So Blender, it's a very simple thing, very simple construct. I think I had a Blender file open already. I already did. I do have screencast keys on so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. I made sure it's highlighted red. So hopefully it's helpful and useful to you guys. So Blender, right? We'll make this the easiest thing as we possibly can. For your very first world, we're going to make a simple floor, walls, and a ceiling. And then as time goes on, we'll add more things to the world. We might add lights. We'll add pretty much all that stuff in the future. We won't get too much ahead of ourselves, but this is just going to be the very basics. So you have the understanding, the fundamentals, so that way you can build whatever you want. So it will start you off here with a cube. You can use your middle mouse key to zoom in, zoom out, your right key to select objects, deselect. Right key is for objects of context menus. You don't really need to worry about that. But pretty much all you need to know is we are going to pretty much delete this cube, all right? Which if you hit X on your keyboard, it brings up delete. Or you could also hit your delete key if you would wish, as you see there. You do notice that there's this little, what's it called? It's like this little thing in the center. Let me see if I can move it here. I can't remember how to move it, actually. I'm having a brain fart at the moment. But this right here is where your object will spawn. So if you hit Shift A, you'll bring in an add mesh. Or if you ever do forget, you can also come up here to the top left corner of your screen where it says add. It also says shortcut. You could hit add, and you want to have mesh. Don't worry about all these other things. That's not important. These are just basic objects. Now, a floor is a plane or a cube. You could also use a cube. I would say use whatever you prefer. We are going to use a plane because the reason for it is Unity and gaming, every face has to render into a video game. So let's say this, you have a sphere, right? You see all these different faces. This all has to be rendered in onto a video game. All these different faces compared to this. This is one face. This is like a ton of faces. So this is not going to be very optimized. So we want to use less, excuse me, we want to use less faces, and so we'll stick with the plane. Now, also one thing you want to add on is a reference to how big your object is. So a character is on height, maybe about 2 meters tall. So you'll bring in this capsule right here, and you'll rotate this on the y-axis. So if you hit R, you can rotate it like that. And if you want it to be on a specific axis, such as the yellow line is the y-axis, as you see in the top right corner, you can rotate on the y-axis, or you can hit X and you can rotate it on the x-axis or the z-axis. But we want it on the y-axis because we want it to stand up. Okay, my apologies. I don't know what that was. And then you want to go ahead and move this up here, so that's the way it's on top of the ground. Now, this is about 2 meters tall, or what's supposed to be 2 meters tall. And this is about how tall an avatar will be in VR chat, just on average, for, you know, a realistic human size. So we'll go ahead and scale our, we'll scale up our plane, which if you hit S, you can scale things, make them smaller and bigger. This is going to be very simple. Let's go ahead and scale this up to 10. If you also hit S and you just hit 10 on your number pad, just like 10, it will scale it to any size. So if you want to scale it 5 times, you just hit S5 and it scales it 5 times exact. It just makes it a bit easier. So let's go ahead and scale that up to 10. It's a small room. It's nothing big, and it will be pretty easy to set this up. Now, we also want to ensure, now let's go ahead and make a wall, or let's make walls, right? So this is how you add cubes. Like I said, Shift S, or not Shift S. Oh, sorry, I'm pushing the wrong keys today. Shift A. If you hit Shift A, you'll bring in a, you know, the add menu. You can come back up here. Shift A, bring in a cube. Make it easy for yourself. And let's go ahead and grab it. We can move it by hitting G. If you hit G, you can move it. If you want to move it on a specific axis, you can hit G and then X, Y, or Z, depending on which direction. If you ever get confused with the directions, just look up here in the top right of your screen. You should be able to see it. If you don't see this, it could be because you have this button right here not checked. So if you don't see it, make sure this is checked. And if you ever like click something like you're playing or you can't see any of this and you just see that, make sure that this little guy is checked as well, because I know sometimes as newbies you check something, you have no idea what you did, and it's just a massive pain. But there you go. We want to move this to the very corner, and we want to scale this. So if you hit S and then hit this on the X axis, or whatever axis that you want to be for a wall, this is going to be the wall, right? You want this to be as theoretically as thin as possible. Not too thin, but enough to make sure that, you know, it's basically a wall. You don't want it too fat. You want to bring this to the edge. Make sure it's actually on the edge and not hanging off like this, because you will fall through or you will see that, and it doesn't look good. So let's go ahead and add that right there. Let's go ahead up on the view up here. You can hit the Z. If you hit this right here, you can also toggle the exact view of what you're looking, or you can use your number pad 1 through 9, I believe, and you can see all the different view angles as well. But whatever easier, sometimes you don't want to use it, sometimes you do. Let's go ahead and scale this on the Y. So if you hit S and then Y, you can scale this. This, like I said, is going to be a very simple world for very brand new beginners. We'll make more in-depth tutorials as future goes along. But, so we will make this really easy. This is not going to be, you know, me extruding and giving all that complex stuff. That will be for, you know, as you get more comfortable with Blender, when you've kind of, you know, I mean, when you're ready to move up the next step. This is for people that are like first time using it. So if you want to go ahead and go into edit mode, you can hit the tab key right above your caps lock, usually on the left part of your screen. If you hit the tab key, it'll swap you from object mode to edit mode. Or what you could do is, if you ever forget, it's up here in the top left corner. You see how it says object mode? You can bring it down to edit mode. And then there is these 3 different face selections. There is the vertice selection, which you move one part. There is the edge selection, where you can grab one part and move just the edges. Or there's the face select, where you can literally grab an entire face, which that is what we're going to be doing. So make sure you have face selection enabled, or you can use 1, 2, 3 on the top of your number pad. So let's go ahead and scale, grab the face, select, and let's make it higher. Let's make it that high. Let's see here. Let's see if we can actually, yeah, that seems about perfect height. You know what I mean? You don't want to be too tall, but you don't want to be too small. Awesome. So what you also want to do is, you see this yellow dot right here? This is the origin point, or the center of what you're basically, it's what your computer senses as the very center. So if you go to rotate this, you notice how it's rotating on that specific point, and it's not like rotating in the very, very center. So what we'll want to do is select this in object mode, like what we're in right now. Hit tab to get out of the edit mode. You'll right click on it, and you'll hit C where it says select origin to 3D, or origin to geometry. It's right in between origin 3D geometry. It's right here, origin to geometry. That will allow you to rotate it in the very center. And pretty much all we got to do now is, well, we can do one of 2 things. We can either manually, we'll stick simple actually. This will be simple. We won't use any modifiers or anything. This is for very brand new beginners. So let's make sure we actually stick to the simplicity. Also, keep in mind, if you want to know how to duplicate something, it's Shift D. You can grab it on the x-axis to move. Make sure you rotate it, which is R on the axis, and then you can rotate it by specific degrees on your number pad. So if you want to hit R, Z, and then on your number pad hit 90, it will rotate it exactly 90 degrees. There are easier ways to do this, but personally, I find this to be one of the best ways to, very much start. This is just, very good fundamentals. We're not going to really make anything complex. Like I said, this is going to be a very basic world, so that way you can have more understanding. All right, so, oops, I did not, if you ever want to go backspace, just hit Control-Z. It, deletes your previous actions, or it's basically the backspace. Shift D, duplicate. Let's go ahead and move this all the way over here. Awesome. Now we can also duplicate the floor, which is Shift D, and move it up as well. And you got a ceiling. Look at that. You have a square room, right? Very square room. You might not want this, but, it will give you an understanding. There you go. You got your character, you got your avatar, you got your own room. Literally, we're about done. This is the hardest part probably for Blender. So what you're going to want to do is, you'll notice that there are, if you're using these squares, there are interior and exterior faces, or as we would call them, is face orientation. Now, you notice how this is all blue and then there's red, right? The red is for objects. So, for instance, if we make an object, let me go ahead, don't do this. I'm just going to show you guys that this is very important, because a lot of people do run into issues. You see how it's red on the inside of this box, but it's blue on the outside of this box? So how a game engine works is, there is a face, and only one side of a face can be rendered in. And if there's not another side of the face, like this cube's got a face right here, and it's got a face right here. But if, like I said, don't copy what I'm doing. I'm just trying to show you guys an example. Let's say we deleted this face, right? You see how it's got all this blue right here, and you've got this red right here? Yeah, this will not be rendered in. So if you've got at any point red in your scene, when you upload it to VRChat or any game, you will not see this. This will be transparent completely. You might run into it and it might affect, but you won't be seeing any of this. So if we add a ceiling, which I'm going to delete this, hit X. If you see the ceiling, you see how it's red? You will basically be seeing right through that. And what we want to do is we want to rotate this or flip this so the blue is facing our character, because you won't really be standing on top of the ceiling, so it won't really matter. But then again, if you are a type of person who, needs, like, let's say you're making an outside where you're walking around, then you'll want to use squares instead of the flat planes in order so both ends get rendered. Just realize the more planes that you have visible and that are rendered in, the higher demand it's going to take and the less optimized your world will be. But let's come over here. If you don't know how I do it and you want to check it, it's up here in the top left or top right corner. It will say right here below geometry, it will say face orientation. Just make sure you click it. And the only thing, we'll only be standing in this room. We won't be going out of this room. So we want to make sure everything on the interior is blue. So the ceiling's not blue, so what we'll do to fix that is go into edit mode, right? Make sure you're in edit mode. You select the object that's red, turn into edit mode, select the face that you want, or you can hit A to select everything that's in edit mode, and then you hit Alt-N, and you see how it says flip normals? Just hit flip normals. That's all you need to do. And now, there you go. That's literally it. You are done. And you can turn it off if you wish to. Just come back up there, top right corner, face orientation. Literally, this is all. This is everything. You don't need anything else. This is all you need to do. So what we can do is we can delete this light. If you're in object mode, you can delete the light and the camera. Those are not important. And if you want to save it, just hit Control S, or you can come up here, hit save as, and you just, let's call this, I'm just going to call this delete. I know, my caps lock is on. Because this is just a tutorial at the moment. And then, yeah, this is literally all you do. This is it. We've got our own first world. Great job. There's one more thing we'll do in this lesson is exporting. So I would advise, I always use FBX. I mean, you can use OBJ. Some people say that. However, FBX seems to be more popularly used, and I've never had problems with FBX, so I find that very safe to use. It's a very common one if you ever share files with friends or something. This is the one you'll mostly see. So come over here to File, up top left corner, hit Export, and then you'll hit FBX. Now, you'll want to go to a file storage. I'll go on my hard drive, and basically, I will just kind of say, there you go. My caps lock is still on. You'll want to leave everything over here on the far right. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Just save it somewhere, and somewhere you'll find it, and hit export. And you're done. So thank you guys for sticking around. Hopefully this video was helpful for all you very, very brand new people out there. Stick around for the next video. We'll be going over in Unity the very basics of how to make the gravity, how to make the textures, everything. It's going to be pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Stick around for that. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, you guys want to join me on Discord, have any questions, feel free to join their Discord in the bio. Just link below. I would be happy to answer questions. Come join me on Twitch. I also stream a lot on there with the 3D stuff, so you guys are always welcome. You guys got questions, you guys want to, somewhat collab or something, hit me up anytime. I really love hanging out with you guys. But there will be new videos coming out here soon. Stick around for it. We'll finish up this world. We'll also have a lot more complex things coming out here as well. But my goal is for this channel is to make sure that all the new people can make great things and have simple step-by-step understanding and explanation of why we do something. Because I wasn't recently, but I remember fairly recent when I started making VR chat stuff, I had no understanding and it was super complex for me. So I want to make sure that everyone else has an easier time than I did. Anyways, click the next video if you guys are ready to move on with the next part of the project, and I will see you all soon. All right, bye-bye.